welcome to episode 14 of the Arrow Digital Hotel Podcast. If you've listened to any of our recent episodes, you'll know that here at Arrow, we are all about increasing direct bookings for luxury independent hotels. In episode 11, we talked about managing the different channels through which your guests book, and we outlined some strategies which allow you to move some of these bookings from the more expensive channels, such as the OTAs or GDS, to the lowest cost channel of acquisition, which is bookdirect. Influencing these booking channels should be part of any revenue management strategy which is focused on bookdirect, but it operates at quite a broad level. Getting down to something more granular, is it possible to influence individual guests and persuade them that bookdirect is the way to go? We think so, and the answer is understanding market segments and then knowing which of these audiences your guests tend to fall into. Broadly speaking, for a B2C or public-facing business, there are 4 different market segment types: demographic, geographic, psychographic, and benefit-oriented. Considering the context of luxury independent hotels, I'll go through each of these 4 types and see what kind of audiences might fit into them. I'll then go on to look at how you can decide what kind of audience you have in your hotel, or maybe what kind of audience you desire, and then see what you can do to sell to those audiences and increase your direct book revenue. So the first segment I mentioned is demographic, and this pertains to particular sections of society or the population as a whole. And it could include, for example, business travellers, free independent travellers, FITs. For a luxury independent hotel, pretty unlikely to include backpackers. A good Arrow example of this would be the Rock in Gibraltar, which tends to attract affluent retirees. Now, they could also fit into the next segment, geographical, because a lot of them also come from the UK. Other examples in the geographical segment would be celebrations if your hotel does local sporting dinners or weddings. Staycationers, that is those who make a conscious decision to stay in their own area or country. Or maybe where your hotel is located has a particular affinity with another part of the world. A good example of this would be Ireland and the east coast of the USA, due to the historic immigration from the former to the latter. Parkhouse Hotel in Galway is an Arrow client, and they have a huge US market, particularly based around this genealogical tourism. The third segment is psychographic, and this reflects an area where people's interests, values, or lifestyle choices come into play. This could include adventurers looking for thrills, digital natives looking for a work-from-anywhere platform, or maybe adults who are looking for hotels which exclude children. A great example of this would be a new Arrow client, Chub Key Resort and Marina in the Bahamas, whose new website went live recently. For them, nearly every guest comes from the boating and fishing community. The fourth and final segment is benefit-oriented, and this is an area for people who perceive an added value or advantage in staying in your hotel. Now, you could argue that all luxury hotels provide value or an advantage, but some more than others, and this may include, for example, an all-inclusive offering, a brilliant 18-hole golf course, amazing spa or leisure facilities. Grantley Hall in Yorkshire in the UK is an Arrow client, and they have such incredible facilities that the benefits these provide make it a destination in its own right. These segments are essentially physical or psychological characteristics, and you may well ask, well, how does that benefit our direct booking revenue? Well, that's because these characteristics also represent people's values, and when you can provide an offering that resonates with people's values, then they are far more likely to stay with you and spend money with you. Take the time to identify the different audience types amongst your existing guests and then tailor your offering appropriately. How do you find the audience types? Well, there are several ways. Number 1, you can ask them, use an email survey, or even better, train your reception staff to engage with customers and glean the relevant information. Check guest online reviews and their social media posts to see what they had to say about their stay and whether it resonates with a particular audience type. Your website's Google Analytics will offer great insights into who guests are, where they come from, and how they interact with your hotel website. And if you have a customer relationship management system, then that will help you get a better idea of your target market as it will log and track every guest. Once you have identified your preferred audiences, you will find it so much easier to influence that audience in terms of booking behaviour, for example moving them to direct booking, increasing your room rate and cross-selling or upselling. You can task the different teams in the hotel to focus on their relevant audience and sell to them, for example food and beverage on the gourmet customer, spa on the leisure guest, or maybe the IT department on the digital native. You will soon start to see some of the benefits. Number one, you can meet your guests' expectations better. You can invest in highly valued features and upgrades, which you already know they will be interested in. Number two, your market competitiveness increases. You will attract more guests in the right sectors and increase per customer revenue. Number three, your marketing and sales efforts become profitable and easier to measure. And number four, your hotel business focus improves. You will be able to attract specific guests and maintain and create brand loyalty. When we look at our really successful hotel clients, we can see that they are the ones who have taken the time to define their audiences. It may seem like an onerous task, but as they say in the manufacturing industry, sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. Get to know your hotel guests, what audience type they fit into, and you'll have another area of our book direct strategy boxed off, and your book direct revenue will increase even more. The hotels I mentioned earlier are all linked in the podcast description, and it's well worth taking a few minutes to look at these super successful Arrow clients. In the meantime, may I wish you all a safe, successful and happy summer, and hopefully you will join us again on the next podcast. Many thanks for listening.